I'm Dr. Suresh Ramalingam, Professor of Hematology and Medical Oncology and Deputy Director of the Winship Cancer Institute of Emory University in Atlanta. I'm a thoracic oncologist, and I focus on the treatment of lung cancer and research on lung cancer. Well, clinical trials are the only way by which new treatment approaches can be brought into the clinic. What we know is, as our understanding of the biology, the mechanisms behind various cancers increases, our ability to develop novel treatment approaches is increasing. It's better now than it has ever been. However, these new and exciting options have to be studied in clinical trials. Before they enter clinical trials, they're extensively evaluated in cells, in animal models, and safety is studied. So once there is wealth of information to say a drug is safe to be studied in human beings, it enters clinical trials. There are various phases of clinical trials, phase 1, which are the earliest form of clinical evaluation of new drugs, to phase 3, which are larger clinical trials that confirm the effectiveness of a certain drug. In all of these clinical trials, patients participate, so they have the ability to A, get access to something that's potentially relevant and exciting to their disease, and B, they want to contribute to development of newer treatment options, so somebody that comes after them will benefit from the effects of the participation in clinical trials. I know that participating in clinical trials is a difficult decision for patients and care providers. There are a lot of myths out there. One of the more common notions is, well, I'm just a guinea pig by participating in clinical trials. Maybe there are more side effects. Maybe it'll cost me more. I have to go to the hospital more. And will my insurance cover this? These are all very important questions. The point we would make is clinical trials go through several levels of review to make sure that the risk is minimized for a given patient. We also have many studies that show that patients who participate in clinical trials have better outcomes compared to patients who receive routine therapies. I think this is a function of the fact that clinical trials have more checks and balances, more regular checkups for patients, more regular blood work and scans to make sure that their cancer is being followed very closely. We can also say that most of the clinical trials will cover the research parts of the clinical trial. So having a conversation about are there any potential financial implications with the physician and the team is important. And in most instances, it does not cause an undue burden or extra burden on the patient. And finally, with all of these things, it's totally understandable that there may be a healthy degree of skepticism on the part of patients. And that is why this is a very personal decision that the patients make with their care teams, with their physician, with their family and loved ones to decide if a certain situation and a clinical trial is appropriate for them. Currently, only about 5% or even less of patients with cancer participate in clinical trial nationally. If we can double that percentage by addressing the concerns patients have and removing any myths that's out there, we can accelerate the pace with which new drugs are brought into the clinic and bring in more hope and more positive outcomes for patients. So my bottom line is clinical trials are an important tool to bring new treatments, and there are several safety guards in place to reassure patients that it is an entirely voluntary decision and they can come off a clinical trial at any point, and that clinical trials do result in direct benefit to patients in a subset. So for all these reasons, we highly encourage patients to have conversations about clinical trials with their care team for their situation, no matter what part of their journey they are in for their respective cancers.